Welcome to this talk from the University of Hertfordshire. This talk is going to focus on the BA Honours International Business programme that is run between the Hertfordshire Business School. The programme itself offers excellent flexibility and career opportunities for students who undertake studies with us. In fact, the University of Hertfordshire's International Business programme is one of only a handful that offers students the opportunity to study it abroad for 2 years of their 4-year degree. So let's go through how the programme is structured, and I'll talk about all the different opportunities that students have at different points within the programme of study. As I have already mentioned, it is a 4-year programme, and in year 3 students go abroad for a year. More about this later. Let's look at year 1 first. In year 1, students study a set of core business modules that take them across the different business disciplines in order to give them a good grounding of human resource management, accounting, marketing, economics, and the like. Additionally, students are strongly encouraged to study a language. There are 5 languages on offer, and again, these will be discussed later on in this presentation. If students opt not to do a language or try a language for a semester and really do not get on with it, there are 2 alternate business modules students can do instead, which are Business Technology Trends in Semester A and Introduction to Marketing Communications in Semester B. Each year, the programme of study is split into 120 credits, and each module a student studies generally is a 15-credit module. So students study 4 subjects in Semester A, which would be 60 credits, and then 4 subjects in Semester B, which would be the other 60 credits. The only options in year 1, as you can see here, is if a student chooses not to do a language, they would be given these 2 business modules instead. In year 2 then, students have a choice. As I said, we're one of very few institutions in the UK that offer students 2 years abroad. Students either stay with us at the University of Hertfordshire, or they can opt to go to one of our partners abroad and study in English. The key thing with students going abroad in year 2 is they make significant savings on their fees for year 2 because we have agreements with some of these partners, and the other key consideration is to make sure they go to an institution which firstly teaches in English and secondly has the equivalent of our core modules as specified on this slide. So in year 2, we carry on with the students deepening their knowledge of the different business disciplines. They do a geopolitics module, which is developed specifically to look at the political environment within different nations, given the international business title for this degree. They do a more global-based economics module, a European consumer markets module, and then they do other core modules in supply chain management, finance, and an human resource management module. Students then either carry on with their language, which they did in year 1, or they could drop the language at this point if they do not wish to carry on studying it. If students choose not to do a language, in Semester A they would either choose to do a digital marketing module or an organizational psychology module. And in Semester B, all students, if they're not doing a language, would only have the option to do project planning and control, which is a good module for business students because it teaches the principles of project management. Students all go away in year 3 to study abroad, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. Having completed their study abroad year, all students return back to the University of Hertfordshire for their final year. In the final year, we have, as you can see on the right here, a lot more optional modules for the students to choose from. They have 2 core modules per semester, and then they select up to 2 optional modules in their final year per semester. Again, if students are studying a language and if they want the language to be in their degree title, so BA Honours International Business with Mandarin or French, they would need to have studied the language both in year 1 and in year 2, and then also in the final year. So those students will carry on studying their language, and if not, you have a choice as one of their options, and then they would choose one of the other optional modules. The only double module here, i.e. one that is 30 credits instead of 15 credits, is the dissertation. A dissertation for these students is not mandatory. It is optional, but can be selected if students feel that they have an interest in a particular area and would like to engage with the dissertation. By the final year, the choices available to the students allow them to shape the type of modules they do in order to shape, in order to begin to shape some of their future career aspirations. So they can look at doing more marketing-based modules, more finance-based modules, or more HR-based modules, depending on where their interests lie. And most of these modules have an international focus as well. So, to summarize then, the International Business Programme at the University of Hertfordshire is EPAS accredited. It's one of a handful of universities across the world that has this EPAS accreditation, which means we need to comply with all the EPAS regulations and the international nature of the programme and the opportunities for students to maintain this accreditation. And you can read up more about that on the web. All students, as I have already said, in year 1 stay at the University of Hertfordshire. In year 2, students can either be at the University of Hertfordshire or they can go abroad. The key thing with going abroad in year 2, as I've already mentioned, is they must be able to match their modules, the core modules we have, with the core modules within a partner institution. The program team help them with that because we need to ensure that the program learning goals are met. So in year 2 it's really important, and the selection of partner universities is slightly smaller because they need to offer similar subjects. Most students who go away in year 2 tend to go to North America, Canada, Australia, and places in the Far East like Malaysia and Singapore. They seem to have a good match. The other criteria for studying abroad in year 2 is you have to study in English. In year 3 then, as I've previously mentioned, and I'll go into a bit more detail now, all students go abroad. They don't pay any fees for year 3 because we have partnerships with over 100 different universities across the globe where they can go and study. We have limited spaces at any of our study abroad destinations, and students get placed based on their choices and their academic achievement. So in year 3, students have to study for at least 1 semester abroad. If they've been abroad in year 2 and studied abroad in year 2, we would ask for them to go to a different continent for year 3, just to widen their horizons and their experiences further. The second semester of year 3 could be a study abroad semester, or it could be a work placement, but the work placement would also need to be outside of the UK. And final year, all students come back to the University of Hertfordshire to complete their studies. So study abroad partners keep being added. We have study abroad partners in 43 countries around the globe. The destinations where students can go on the BA International Business Programme within the University of Hertfordshire are listed on this slide. As you can see, there's a vast array of countries within Europe, North America, South America, Africa, Southeast Asia, and in Australia. And this is continuously growing with new arrangements and agreements being made. But students really have a broad choice of where they want to go. As I said, the choices are a little bit more limited if they go abroad in year 2 because we require a match of modules. However, in year 3, when students go and study abroad, they are required to do business modules, but can also choose modules of interest to them outside of the business spectrum. And there's no matching required as long as they're doing the right level number of credits that we require. They can almost choose subjects that interest them from within business as well as outside business. This slide is simply showing some of the locations where our students have studied. The two colours are simply indicating students who've gone away for year 2, which is also known as level 5, and those students and where they've gone in their placement or year 3 of the program. As you can see, Japan is quite popular, and more recently, since these stats were gathered, South Korea is also a popular destination for year 3, where students really want to explore a different culture completely. These slides are just giving you an indication. You can see the dots, and that indicates where our students were based. We recently in January met with our final year students for an event and got them to put dots on a map based on where they had studied abroad. Furthermore, this is giving you a worldwide view. The first map was Europe, showing you different parts of the world where our students have studied recently. Some pictures of their experiences. Students tend to go abroad and do their study abroad. When they're in year 3, when they study abroad, and in year 2, really, it is them passing the modules and getting the credits that is important, not the actual mark that they get, because we're looking for them to just get the credits. We don't use those marks in the calculation of their degrees when they come back. Just their final year, if they went away for year 2, would count towards their degree classification. So students find it really enjoyable to focus on their studies, but then make travel plans in between when they have breaks with the variety of people they've met, and to explore the countries where they are studying. So these are just some pictures of students based on some of their travels. Some comments before we finish off from international business students. And in general, you will notice that most of these comments that the students have made lend themselves and kind of are geared towards the students coming out of their comfort zones, students being able to really appreciate different cultures, students becoming more independent, and students becoming more confident and making global friends and contacts. So as you can see, the program really allows the flexibility and versatility for students to really do what they'd like to do, as long as they do it within the framework that we've provided. So as I've already said, we're one of a very few handful of universities in the United Kingdom that offer students to study 2 years abroad. In year 3, students can either stick to the same country, or they can go to different countries to study and work, or just study in 2 different countries. And just a couple of final pointers. In the National Student Survey in 2019, that's the latest survey that was published, this course had 100% student satisfaction, which indicates from the students that are completing their satisfaction rate, I guess, with the program, the facilities, the learning opportunities, the teaching and learning, and the pastoral support that they get on the program. So let's come back to languages. As I said, when we talked about year 1 of the program, we strongly recommend students do a language. We have 5 languages students can choose from: French, German, Spanish, Mandarin, and Japanese, and all of these languages can be done at a beginner level. However, if a student's done GCSE level, French or Spanish or any of those languages, or A level, they can come in at different levels. We've got basically 3 levels of classes, from absolute beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and that goes from year 1 to year 2 and then to the final year, year 4. We only have provision to take A-level students with languages in Spanish and French. So if you have a German A level, for example, you wouldn't be able to carry on learning German. It would be a really good opportunity to pick up a different language that you can start at a beginner level. As I stipulated when we talked about the first year modules, students who don't choose to do a language are given alternate business modules to take instead. The importance of studying a language is really encouraged and communicated to students right from the beginning. This is because it can really help with employability and can really shape the destination student travel to and how much more they can get out of it by speaking a language and practicing the language where they might choose to go and study. Some students also in year 3 opt to study a module or two in a language. So last year, a student who graduated last year went away in year 3 and spent the year in Uruguay. She was also learning Spanish and opted to take a couple of modules in Spanish to really deepen her understanding and her level of Spanish in terms of learning in it and writing assessments in it and exams in it, which really takes your language skills to a different level. So students have that opportunity in year 3 as well. There's a lot of research that's been conducted which links positively to outcomes for students, i.e. the percentage of students that get good degrees, which is an upper second class or a first class degree, has been positively linked to outward mobility programs. We call outward mobility programs where students have the opportunity to go and study abroad or do placements abroad. In this course, it is mandatory to go away for year 3, so all students gain outward mobility. However, if a student starts on this course and later down the line, due to personal circumstances, wishes not to go abroad, they would not be able to carry on international business, but we've got a progression route into our general business degrees. So students would be able to complete in 3 years should they want to, because of a change of circumstances. In terms of fees and finance, the normal home fees apply or international fees apply for students who study while they're at the University of Hertfordshire. For home and currently EU students, if they go abroad for year 2 of their program, where we said they have to match their core modules, they currently save on their fees, only paying a small set of the standard 9,000 plus fees for home students. No fees are payable in year 3 of the program. Obviously, although there's no fees payable and only a small subset payable if students go away in year 2, the student will incur costs for living costs, travel costs, and the like. And the student loan company and student finance do provide enhanced loans for study abroad periods, and there's also a scheme where you can get a rebate on long haul flights, etc., after you pay the first £300+. All of this is explained on the student finance website. Currently, we are part of the Erasmus Plus, and this is funding that's available to students who go and study at one of our Erasmus partners, and they also get some funding if they're doing work placements in Europe. This is a grant that students get, and currently it is secured for UK universities and students for 2020-21. But going forward, we are not sure what this will look like and whether it will still exist, and this will all depend on the Brexit negotiations which are underway at the moment. So let's come back to the support that we provide to students. As I mentioned previously, in the recent National Student Survey, we got 100% student satisfaction for this program. This is partly attributed to the support that students get from the program team and other colleagues within the university and from partner universities to make sure that they are feeling secure and have somebody who can answer their queries when needed. The program leaders, there's myself as the program leader and my colleague Elizabeth Wiss, who is the Deputy Programme Leader are available by email, phones, and obviously in our offices, but if students are abroad, we also arrange Skype calls and the like with them to address any issues they might have. There's permanent contact with the programme team while students are abroad. The students also have the contact with the university's study abroad team, who liaise with the partner universities and their study abroad teams. So there's always a direct contact with the study abroad team here, and the partner institutions have colleagues there who help our students when they're abroad, and all exchange students in general. We have a video there'll be a link to this page, which the students who graduated in 2019 recorded, discussing some of their experiences and the opportunities that the program bring. And I hope that you will listen to that to get a view from our recently graduated students. These are my details, my email address and Elizabeth's email address. Should you need to contact us for any further information, we'd be more than happy to help, give you a call and have a conversation to discuss the course further. Thank you very much for listening to us.